How's it going, guys? Today, I'm going to be featuring the ST-61, the Super Tester exclusive variation of the T-61, the German premium destroyer. Now, the T-61 is, in my mind, the best Tier 5 destroyer. There isn't really any other destroyers that can compete with its capabilities. I think the closest ship that comes to it is the Ernst Gaeta, the Tech Tree German destroyer, although that ship has its own strengths and its own weaknesses, mainly in the fact that the Gaeta has more HP, but that ship is much more sluggish and less maneuverable, whereas the T-61 has slightly less HP, but it is much more maneuverable and feels much more like a destroyer. And then depending on if you decide to use the 150mm guns or not, the Gaeta will be another different beast entirely. Now, one of the absolute strengths that these German destroyers have at Tier 5 is the fact that most other destroyers from other nations don't have a concealment as good as yours, mainly because you have access to Eirik Bay, and if you decide to use Swirsky as your inspiration, like I am here, I have a 5.1 kilometer detection, using a similar build on, let's say, the Americans with the Mayhem. Well, the detection on that is 5.7 kilometers, and that would mean we would have to give up either Sims to get Swirsky and Bay as inspirations, but here we have Bay as our commander, we have both concealment skills, and we also have Sims for more HP. So being able to out-detect pretty much every destroyer at the tier, I just simply followed that Podvoisky, even though he is a tier lower, and just simply kept him spotted. He just got absolutely wrecked by our whole team, as everyone did decide to shoot at him. There was also another destroyer in the A cap, so we are heading over there in order to try and contest, especially with our sonar active. As soon as we go unspotted, because we did shoot at the Podvoisky, we start heading into the cap. There is an Omaha that is deciding to turn away after pushing in a little too aggressively, and I do switch to armor piercing because we can definitely citadel him. He is a little too angled right now for us to do so, but if we just keep shooting as he starts turning away, we do land some citadels and we're able to kill him off. And now as we push in, there is an enemy Aoba that is also doing so, but his sonar is not active. Considering that we were just spotted, I'm not really sure why he does not have his sonar on, but at this point it's much too late. Torpedoes are already on the way, and we pick up a dev strike. Now the Mayhem is reversing essentially where our torpedoes were also heading, and there's potential for a double strike. However, where I'm hitting the Mayhem, it seems like he was reversing, and unfortunately he does evade the torpedoes, and the torpedoes that hit the Aoba were the ones that probably would have hit the Mayhem. Also, our sonar does go down, which is a bit unfortunate, so I just keep reversing and keep blind firing. I essentially try to reverse here to use the Aoba's carcass as protection from torpedoes. However, unfortunately, there are planes from the Aoba or Omaha that do get us spotted. The Mayhem does get spotted briefly for a second, and we do start blind firing, trying to finish him off. Now, unfortunately, reversing to use the Aoba's carcass as protection from torpedoes, trying to shoot at the Mayhem, we actually end up shooting the Aoba, and the Mayhem does end up surviving and has some blessed RNG to set us on a double fire. At this point, with our smoke running out, I start moving forward and try to spot the Mayhem. We do spot him here, and we do launch torpedoes for the battleship that is behind him because, well, we are expecting him to start turning away as soon as we're spotted because, well, typically in a battleship, you do want to run away from a destroyer as much as you can. Unfortunately, the Mayhem died right where the torpedoes were headed, and he does protect the enemy Koenig from torpedoes. We are still fortunate that we are able to land one torp on the Koenig, but if the Mayhem carcass didn't block two torpedoes, there possibly would have been a dev strike there, landing two torpedoes on that battleship that now has less than half HP and is also permanently flooding. Looking at the map, we can see that there are 3 enemy ships pushing through Alpha, and we do have 3 friendlies on that side to contest them. And if we look at Bravo, we did have a friendly cruiser who was fairly healthy, and then, well, unfortunately, he turned broadside, and the enemy Dallas ended up killing him. Now, there's no one on this flank, so this is the weak side that we do need to try and deal with, while the rest of our team deals with the enemy strong side. Our first target will probably be this Nevada that's been slowly sailing around in their spawn. He doesn't seem like he's paying as much attention, and, well, seeing that this Nevada is sailing in a straight line and also has an island behind him, he is not going to be able to turn out, so we do launch both sets of torpedoes, hoping that he essentially sails straight and has nowhere else to go but straight, and essentially giving us a dev strike. Now with torpedoes already out for the Nevada, I start heading over to Bravo to try and deal with the Dallas. He did have 1 bar of HP, and as a destroyer, since we do have good detection, we can outspot him, which we do here. And seeing that he's sailing fairly broadside, I decide to switch to AP to try and see if I can finish him off. I most likely won't Citadel him, but I will definitely be able to get a bunch of penetrations and hopefully kill him off really quickly. Unfortunately, as soon as I start shooting, the Dallas does start turning in, and as I keep shooting AP, he does know to angle, which is unfortunate that a lower tier player actually knew what to do when someone is shooting AP. Taking a quick look behind me to see where the enemy craft spay was, I wanted to try my best to use the island and see if I could go unspotted. Now my best bet here is to try and turn north and use this big island to protect us from the Graf Spee. It does mean turning broadside to the Dallas, but I think I can kill him off quick enough that I won't really have to worry about it. I have 3 seconds coming off of my smoke cooldown, and well, I do slow down and decide to use it just so I can go unspotted as soon as possible. And with the kill of the Dallas, we do pick up the Kraken. Looking back at it, it probably wasn't the best idea to use my smoke there because now this smoke screen is essentially wasted. Although if I didn't kill off the Dallas with that last salvo, he definitely would have reloaded in time to shoot at us again. So going unspotted at the time did seem very important. Fortunately, we did kill him off, but we did end up wasting our smoke, which we can live with because now there's just a cruiser and an enemy battleship that really shouldn't have any business spotting us at all. All we really need to do at this point is just sail around and torpedo these 2 enemy ships. Now, when it comes to German cruisers, especially ships like Graf Spee that have a 5.5 kilometer detection of ships and a 4 kilometer detection of torpedoes, landing torpedoes on enemy cruisers, especially Germans, are a bit more difficult. Typically, what I find to be effective is launching the first one at the line where it's predicting, and then launching the second one behind it. The theory behind this is that the first set of torpedoes will get spotted, and then the player will essentially slow down or turn in to try and dodge the first set. However, in doing so, they'll essentially either be slowing down or turning into the second set, which fortunately does work out here, where he does slow down and turn in, and we do land 2 torpedoes. Now that we've gotten the Graf Spee extremely low, I do want our friendly battleship to try and focus him and kill him off, because he is going to be the more difficult ship to kill, at least with torpedoes, especially now that he knows we are trying to torpedo him. He's going to continuously turn in and out to try and change his course, and fortunately our battleship does listen to us and starts shooting at him. With the Graf Spee, I do decide to do the same thing, launch one at the prediction line, and then launch one set of torbs extremely short, hoping that he does end up turning in to dodge and ultimately does end up eating torpedoes. He's turning out to fire all of his guns, and that actually puts him right on line with the rest of our torpedoes. He starts turning in, but at this point it's too late, and we do land another torpedo, and we are able to kill him off. Now, all that remains is the enemy Cavour that is simply chasing our friendly battleship, and without a Graf Spee to help him spot torpedoes, this should be an easy kill. Now, I do want to go back and recall what happened in the beginning. We did essentially just stalked the enemy Podvoisky and kept him spotted for our team. We didn't do a whole lot to him, although we definitely probably could have engaged him a lot sooner. And then there was the enemy Koenig that was protected by the Mahan's torpedoes. I think if the Koenig doesn't get protected there, he does get devstruck and will be on 7 kills. And the Podvoisky was definitely up for grabs. Possibly we could have killed him off a lot sooner if we decided to shoot at him instead of just follow him. And then that could have potentially been the 8th kill. And then now finally getting to torpedo the Cavor. This will be our 9th kill. Essentially, this entire game, we had everything to do with every single one of their ships dying, and is definitely reflected on the scoreboard at the end. Now, torpedoing ships from the front is always a bit tricky, and sometimes it does just come down to RNG to land torpedoes. Fortunately, the far right torp on the first set ends up hitting the Cavor, and again on the second set, the far right torp actually hits the Cavor as well, which does secure our 7th kill. So far, my best game in the ST61, 164,000 damage, a Kraken +2, and 3600 base XP, more than doubling our second highest score on our team. After this game ended, and looking over my score, knowing that the 2 ships that I didn't kill, which was the Koenig and the Podvoisky, knowing I could have killed the Koenig if that Mayhen's carcass did not protect him, and then possibly even killing off the Podvoisky had I started shooting him sooner. It was a bit tilting to know I could have had a 9-kill game, but even though I didn't get that insane achievement, having a 7-kill game and 3600 base XP was still definitely very good. Now going over my build, it's a typical German destroyer build using Sims and Swirsky as my inspirations, and then the typical DD Hunter build with Observant Rage, Look at Me Now, Twist and Track, Smoke on the Water, and Unstoppable. Definitely probably the best build for your German destroyers if you want to be effective. Well, that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe for more, and share it with your friends, or leave a comment down below for other ships you want to see in the future. But until next time, aloha.